welcome to the EARTH MOMMA Living podcast. I am Jackie O with EARTH MOMMA Living. This is the place where we explore healing through food, exercise, and mind-body wellness. I help moms to create a delicious, holistic lifestyle so they can massively improve their whole family's health without sacrificing time, flavor, or sanity. Get out your pen and paper, grocery lists, and open up your minds about food and cooking, mental wellness, body movement, and holistic home living as we dive into our show. I'm coming to you from Phoenix, Arizona. Please pass on the word. Tell your friends and let's get our awakened EARTH MOMMA Living family growing. Find me on my blog at earthmommaliving.com, Facebook, Instagram at EARTH MOMMA Living Official, YouTube, and Rumble. In today's show, I'm going to talk about my latest blog post because it's really important to me. It's really the foundation for healing, believe it or not. I'm also going to be doing a quick 5-minute meditation for those of you who have told me that you cannot meditate. I really hope you enjoyed it, even for those of you who are seasoned meditators. Before I get into today, I give you my best words of advice about gathering information from anywhere. Please read and listen to information you find here and anywhere with discernment. And what I mean is, look things up on your own to confirm what you need to know and understand. Feel free to ask me questions. Not everyone has the whole truth, but when I look through and see multiple sources that contain similar or exact information and it resonates with me, then I sit with that until further or different knowledge is gathered. Does that make sense? Okay, great. Here's my core belief. In all that I do, I believe in challenging the status quo. I believe in trusting our bodies to heal themselves. The way that I challenge the status quo is by teaching clean living by what we eat, what we allow around us, and all that supports our bodies to heal themselves. And I always like to talk about the core of even that, which is trying to change the medical world and the medical community the way it exists right now is really challenging, and I invite any of you who are helping to do this to join me in this. And I think that it is being done, the change, behind the scenes. I believe that people like me who go to the doctors and ask lots of questions and refuse to do things that aren't true to me, or doing the things that I feel are true to me, and working with the doctors to help them, and nurses, and all our healthcare professionals. I believe that we can work with them to help change it, because I don't think we can do it on our own. So anyway, if you're ready here, we can start our quick 5-minute meditation for those of you who feel that you cannot meditate. So I challenge you. All right, so please do this only if it's safe for you to close your eyes and be very relaxed. This is a good time to set some time aside for this. Save this podcast for later if you'd like to do this exercise at a better time. So let's start, and I'm definitely thinking of you guys who say that you can't meditate, because I challenge you to. Why not? It is definitely something that can benefit your state of mind. It's certainly everybody around you. And a really quick example of that is if you've got a lot of stressful things going around your household, for example, and people and animals around you, your cats, your dogs, if there's some good anxiety floating around there, watch what happens when you take time to do meditation. I guarantee that the energy levels will be like, it'll just bring it down to a quiet simmer, and it'll give time for all the energies in the house will literally just go, what's going on? And it's quite amazing. It's a wonderful thing to experience. So, for example, my cats, when I meditate, they will either come and lay on top of me, or they will lay beside me and snuggle with me and keep me warm, or they will be both on the couch and they'll be just really chilling. And that's more than normal because they normally chill. So, all right. So there's a couple of things that I think are really good for those of you who are beginning, and even those of you who are not. Think of this. And I get some of these notes from, I found a website that has some good tips for meditating. But here are some things to know before we begin. Nothing is going to happen to you. You will not float away. You will not think nothing, so to speak. So there will be not nothing going on. Also, you will not stop your mind. You will also not solve all of your life problems in a few moments of silence, but I will say that you will potentially get answers to things that you've had troubles with recently, especially if you ask for the answers. But the main thing is to not worry about it. That's the whole point of this. There's no right or wrong way to do your practice. You're simply going to sit and breathe and expect nothing from the experience, but to just sit and breathe, okay? Next thing. Posture is important, as you want to be comfortable and you want to stay awake in this session anyway. There are some other meditations that you can do to help you go to sleep, and they're really effective. But in this particular one, we want you to stay awake. So please sit in a chair or on the floor, but there's no need to do either specifically, and keep the back that you holding, keep your back somewhat straight and shoulders relaxed, and your hands resting gently on your knees or in your lap or to your sides. Your feet are flat on the floor if you're sitting on a chair. Your eyes are closed if comfortable or slightly open. Your mouth is open or closed. Breathing through your mouth or breathing through your nose or mouth, whatever is comfortable. Most importantly is to breathe comfortably. So let's begin. Start with your eyes. Close your eyes if comfortable, or allow them to be slightly open. Start with taking 3 slow, deep breaths, and I will do them with you. Last one. As you settle into your natural rhythm of the breath, know that throughout the practice you will hear sounds inside the room and sounds outside. This is just normal. These are not distractions, not disruptions. It's just simply what's happening around us as we sit and breathe, and just notice them. Begin to notice the mind as it wanders, jumping from thought to thought. Gently guide your attention and focus. Put your focus to your stomach or your chest. As you breathe, feel them rise and also feel them breathing out and feel them fall. Simply continuing this practice, observe your sensation of breath. Also notice the mind as it wanders. Release that thought and return attention to your mind, where you are, and focus back to your breath. Breathe in, follow the breath in, breathe out, follow the breath out. As the mind wanders, gently guide attention back to your breath. Let go of expectations or judgments of your practice. Just sit and breathe. Breathe in and feel your stomach rise. Breathe out and feel the stomach fall. Learn to be comfortable in the stillness. Know what it's like to just sit and breathe. Again, take 3 more deep breaths, and I will take them with you. Do one more. Breathe in. And breathe out. Slowly open your eyes and slowly begin to move your fingers and toes. So welcome back, my friends. How do you feel? I feel even more grounded now myself. What stood out for you in your observing? It was a very quick one. It was a short meditation, but it was something to think about doing when you think you don't have time for the meditation. Think about it and then just let it sit with you for this week. If anything did come up for you. The most important part of meditation practice is now and immediately after, when you realize that any sort of quiet, still peace or calm that you feel, or any sort of racing mind you might have, has nothing to do with anything I said. Has nothing to do with how you sit, how you crossed your legs, or how you had your arms or your hands, and it has nothing to do with the sounds around us. It has everything to do with your own mind and your own mind's reaction to an external situation. What we realize from this practice is that this is our life every day. Things happen and we react. More things happen and we have more reactions. Most people respond to meditation quietly, peacefully. But the question is, how do you respond to everything else that happens in your life? For most of us, this feeling is quite different from how we felt an hour ago, or how we will feel an hour from now. What we're working on is closing the gap to where the way we feel now is closer how we feel always. Just as driven, motivated, successful, and productive, yet with a mind that is steady and focused, distracted by nothing and disturbed by no one. Once we stop trying to change and control everything outside of us and we work on changing our mind, our heart, and our reaction to the world around us, life gets a little easier, a little more peaceful, a little happier, yet ultimately nothing changed except our own mind. Okay, so let's get back to the discussion at hand. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about my latest blog article, which I titled, Why You're Not Doing the Thing, because you only want to do it. And that I posted on March 30th, and that's 2022. And continuing the thought about hearing news, or definitely knowing when there's some underlying thing that you want or even need to do, let's talk about the fact that you may or may not actually get the call, or at least in a timely manner, so that you have time to do the thing before it's too late and it's irreversible. Or even just making it easier for yourself from when it's too late feeling. So at these points of awareness, usually, you've got to make some sort of decision. Knowing how I am, I know it's pretty much an instantaneous thought process. And meditation will definitely help slow that thought process down so that we can have slower reactions to things, especially when they're traumatic or big type of news. So usually what flashes through our mind is, what am I going to do? It's either do something or put it away. And of course the easiest thing to do is put it away. Let's deal with it later. I'm very aware of that and so easy to do. But there are times when we can't. We have to make a decision to make a change for whatever it is going on. In an article by Psychology Today, I did find, and by the way, that was by Heidi Grant Halverson, called How to Make Yourself Do It When You Just Don't Want to. 3 strategies to help you stop putting things off. Well, it's a good article, but just it's a different way of looking at it, and it's a different, definitely different than the way I wrote what I did today. So, but I wanted to give you what she had to say, because it's good as well. So she states 3 main reasons for not doing the thing. And when I say the thing, by the way, it's basically anything that comes across your desk or comes across as a phone call, or things that need to be made aware of. We need to make a decision. I give examples a little bit later here, but basically, number one, you're putting something off because you're afraid you'll screw it up. And her solution is adopting a prevention focus. So she talks about preventing, right? What can we do to prevent the screwing up aspect? You know, what can we do to make it right before we even jump into something? Number two, you're putting off something because you don't feel like doing it. Well, her solution is ignore your feelings. They're getting in your way. And so she does quote, it was a good quote. She said, Chuck Close's observation is that inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us just show up and get to work. So it's good points, right? And then finally, number three, you're putting something off because it's hard, boring, or otherwise unpleasant. And her solution is if-then planning. And she goes into talking about, well, if this happens, then I'll do it this way. Or, okay, so if I'm supposed to approach that client at 3 o'clock, then at 1 o'clock, I will start doing some prep work. I'll start investigating some of the background on my client, this so that I at least know what I'm talking about when I get on the phone at 3. So, for example, and I think that's actually very positive. That's a very positive way to approach something that you don't want to do. And I actually use that a lot because I use my calendar religiously to schedule things out so that I can be more prepared and have a game plan. Really, it's basically having a game plan. And once I have a game plan, I almost feel like it's not, the work is done already because I've outlined some steps for myself so that when that thing comes around that I really don't want to do, then it's a no-brainer. Just, oh, okay, then it's done, right? So also for me, it's about reverse engineering that want, need, or have in the scenario. So here's the thing. Did you ever notice when you hear about people who find out about some serious health condition, or that they were to lose their job or go to prison, or get told that if they did not do the thing, they would have some seriously grave consequences? And for example, one major thing is you stopping drinking because, say, you got in trouble with the law, or their job because, say, the drinking has actually interfered with either family life or the job. So either you quit drinking or you lose your job. I mean, that's like an instant, you got to make a decision. Well, how much do you care about your job, or how much do you care about the family situation? And so in that situation, what is their reaction? They had the moment of absolute certainty that they would either have to make a change or else. And there's something that just happens in our brains. Our willpower becomes a superpower, and those who pay attention to this understand the actual consequences for the choice that's laid out for them. The change happens in that instant. That is the science that I'm totally fascinated by, because I feel like it's chemical. I feel like it's like this trigger. It's this, it's like a snap. It just changes you. For example, I'll never forget when my endocrinologist called me himself and said, Jackie, we got your blood work back. It's 100% certain that you have celiac disease. And from this moment on, you cannot eat gluten ever again. No more gluten. Do you understand? Good luck. Well, at first, I was so relieved because I was glad it wasn't cancer or some other assumed death sentence. As far as regular feared diagnoses go, that you don't want to hear from your doctor's office. But it was in that moment that my brain kicked in to say, I have to make this change right now. I mean, it wasn't even, it was, the time to make that decision was less than that sentence I just said. Or else, my severe anemia, my stripped intestines, my extreme depression, it will all continue indefinitely. There was no choice. I had to do that. Also, it was the good luck part of this call that he said that gave me a clue that I was probably going to have to do this on my own. But I'm used to that, by the way. In my life, I've done a lot of things on my own that I've just, plowed forward. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. No problem. Hey, I'm going to move to New York City. I'm going to get that job. I'm going to go there and move there. And I'm going to get an apartment. No problem. Got it. It's just these are things that I've done. And I'm lucky that sometimes I get these triggers of this major change. It changes in my brain, and then I'm like, go on, I go, I do it. So there's no question about it. It's done, it's decided, and it was to be this way from then on for the rest of my life. And I do remember saying to myself, I got this. I will find out where this gluten is, and I will not eat it or anything close to it anymore. I was relieved, but I knew I had a massive amount of learning to do really quickly. So the best part was, at that time frame, I knew that I had discovered what the problem was, and I knew now that it was all about wrapping the rest of my life around this, and it was about time management. As actually another Psychology Today article talks about time management, and that was what I talked about with the if-then theory. It's not hard to prioritize your time when you know there's something that has to be done. So I had to learn this stuff fast. The point is that the issue itself created its own solution because it needed to also happen right away. So I know you guys have received some of these kind of calls or messages that changed your life from that moment on, and it seems to be a normal thing that happens to us, usually with health care, right? Don't you think? Or perhaps births, deaths, news of other extraordinary events. What changed in your life in an instant? I would actually love also, besides in my blog, I would love to hear from you here if you'd like to leave comments about what life changes have you had in your own life that had to make change. So I would love to hear about that. And so the biggest question is, how can you recreate this chemical change that happens in our body or brain to make us immediately decide that we have to do this thing beyond just wanting to do this thing? And this is a really great skill to have, because no matter what the thing is, from now on, you can affect change in your own life without having to have these scares, these major life-threatening feeling events that make us do the things when we didn't really feel ready for it. So learning this skill is really effective because it does take a little bit of ramping up, because you're really almost artificially creating this moment, this chemical process that is like I got to do this right now. Yeah, absolutely got this. And preparing for it. So what does it mean exactly? So anyway, to continue on with this, so if you can always say, right, if it's meant to be, then it was meant to be. And if I was supposed to lose those 10 pounds and become super strong and get all leaned up and buffed, then I would just fall into it, or hire the right person, or all the excuses that come with not actually having to do the thing, but only wanting it. Dr. Joe Dispenza and other well-known people have talked about this ability to reconfigure and reprogram our brains to learn and heal what we need. Overcoming the simple wanting and converting it into a preempt have to brain pattern it's proven over and over again, is basically you're reprogramming the brain. You're reprogramming this part that you can have control over of what you can do, what steps you can take to do this, things that you can say to your brain, things that you can quietly tell your brain of things that you actually really have to do in the long run. So, and another example I give here is people in the sales field, or really anyone, can attest to the successful type of closing calls where the conversation with a potential client reaches a breakthrough, even on these complimentary calls where they feel and foresee what it would be like if they did not reach their certain goal. So this is a tactic. So the person who's leading the call will ask very pertinent questions about what the potential person is wanting to do, whether it's to have that dream job where they can finally quit their 9-to-5, or up-level their income for their current business to 7 figures instead of 6. Very common in the sales world today. these type of coaches, or visualizing that legacy that they wish for the families. The coach or the person advising them will then lend them, or they'll help them to see this goal and the dramatic change and help them see that it is indeed possible. And certainly the coach will have their own abilities and skill sets to teach and offer beyond this call. And so here's what I have to say. Here are steps that yes, you can do this. Yes, you can do anything that you want to. Yes, you can reprogram your brain and take some steps to do this. My suggestions on how to reprogram your brain, and my simplest method is this. And you can also, by the way, again, read this in my blog article at earthmommaliving.com, where I outline these steps. One is dig. Dig deeper and find out what will happen if you do not do the thing. Write about it. Talk about it. Really feel what could happen if you didn't do it. Then write all the positive stuff that will happen when you do this thing. Write until you cannot even make up any more. Just write as much as you can. And then write 5 more positive things. Okay, that's step 1. Step 2 is repeat. And write daily affirmations for this desire that is pertinent. And this is very pertinent, and it's also required. Your brain will respond and listen to this repetition. It will drown out the, but I don't want to do this, or other negative or fear-based talk, or simply, I don't feel like doing it. I don't want to do it. Oh, I'm not going to die if I don't lose that 10 pounds. True, but I don't want to interject any other fear-based or negative stuff in this type of talk, but what I'm saying is that if you drown out, basically you're drowning out the negative stuff, you are rewriting what your brain needs to hear so that you can move beyond and get to where you want to be, really, where you really, really have to be to get to even further. Because once you do this thing, there's going to be greater things that you can and will do later. I suggest reading Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich book, because he's all about this topic. And this book is a classic, and I highly recommend it. Number 3 is surround yourself. Surround yourself with positive and encouraging people around you. And I know it's not always possible, but it's extremely helpful. And move away from those who are not this way. Just that there's all kinds of people around you. I get it. In all my world events and where I go, you're going to see them, But if you can move away from them physically, or if you need to interrupt them, like if you're talking to someone at a store and they're just being negative, or not, it's just interesting. Just this, for example, this meditation practice that I worked with you today with here will help you start to notice things and get you in that third person's place. And also, by the way, anything that's negative or things that don't even resonate with you anymore, you're not even going to hear them as much. It's just going to be like chatter. Really, it's just going to be like, oh, yeah, whatever. So I'm moving on. I'm doing my thing. Please get out of my way. So I have suggestions, though. When you're having troubles at the beginning to get away from some negative things and you're having trouble processing it, but you can leave, you can go to the bathroom, look in the mirror, repeat the stuff that you wrote from the exercise in number 1, go get a cup of tea or coffee, go out, go to your favorite coffee shop, go fill your car with gas. I mean, do anything that's like mundane but useful and kind of mindless. Go for a walk. And, do you see where I'm going? So the last thing is rinse and repeat. If you fall backwards, brush yourself off and get back into your groove. I mean, how many people just, they'll gain some weight back and, weight and exercise and things like that are easy to talk about because it's something that we're all either doing or not doing or want to do, whatever. It's an easy thing to talk about because it's very just something that we all can, I think we can just all coincide with, right? We can all agree on. So no one who succeeded in anything did it the first time. I can guarantee that. And remember that too. And without getting too trite. The idea is to have the feeling that you, of getting that having to do the thing before it's too late, or so far along that your guides or God or whoever you look for and support actually make you stop and look at what you're doing and get you that, either that fear diagnosis or car accidents or literally running into things, literally running into physical objects, whether it's, walking into that wall. And, or two, one example that your body does is getting sick. It is one way that your body is trying to get your attention. And if you're not paying attention, you'll just skip right over it. And guess what? You're probably going to get that same sickness again and again. And that, by the way, is the process I used many times. That small part there, what I just shared, is how I healed my asthma. Besides all the changes in my food. So working with that and working with these messages and these things that happen to us or for us to show us what needs to be changed. Just to pay attention. So now is the time, just saying, now is the time. I love you and I want for you what I have been able to begin myself. And I am nowhere being done. I'm currently myself working on doing more physical fitness and getting to certain goals. And I have so much that I want to do in my own time. And I know with pure persistence, I will get there. So for more details about my journey, visit my blog that I posted on September 7th in 2021 about my having to remove every speck of gluten in my diet once they gave me the diagnosis of celiac disease. And hey, that does it for this podcast by me, Jackie O, aka the Earth Mama. If you have any questions about my story or anything from this podcast today, please go ahead if you'd like and send me an email at jackie@earthmommaliving.com. Thank you for tuning in to my second edition of Earth Mama Living podcast, and have a super awesome day, my friends. Take care.